Hello everybody, I'm Quentin and it's Christmas time here in Cambridge at the end of 2020, the year of course of COVID-19. But I'm very glad you're able to join me because, as Bilbo Baggins would say, we're going on an adventure. Now these videos come from a journey I made this time last year. Just before Christmas with my dog I set off northward, not really having any fixed destination in mind. And when I got back, I'd hoped lockdown would give me more time to edit all of this, but in the end it's been a very busy year for me, which is why you're only seeing it now. Before we depart though, a couple of practical notes. Firstly, I recorded this on a GoPro Max. Now this is a 360-degree spherical camera which records in all directions at once, and this is really useful if you're travelling solo because you don't need to worry about whether the camera's pointing in the right direction at the time. You can choose that in the editing stage afterwards when I edited it down to a flat movie. Now I only got this shortly before I departed, and I chose it partly because it has pretty good microphones built in, but it doesn't have the option for an external mic. And what I didn't know until too late is that it really has a problem with wind noise, and given the places I ended up in midwinter, this was a bit of a problem. It's also not great with the road noise, and so between these there are some areas of video where I'm really not very audible, and I'm very sorry about that, but I've tried to put captions in the most difficult spots, so I hope you'll forgive me the sound quality in some places. It will be better next time. Now in the end I recorded rather a lot of footage, as you'll see from the number of episodes here, even after I've trimmed it pretty extensively. So I'll try and put links in the descriptions and on screen to make it easy for you to find next and previous episodes, or maybe to jump to particular locations that might be of interest to you. Now, we can't travel like this at the moment because of the pandemic, but hopefully this will either give you some ideas of interesting places to go once we can move about again, or perhaps it'll bring back happy memories for some of you of places you've already been. Right, with that out of the way, I hope you're sitting comfortably, that you have a cup of whatever is the most appropriate beverage for your situation, and let's get on our way. Like most adventures, this starts at an airport, but in this case I was departing from it rather than arriving at it. Well, here we are at the drop-off point at Heathrow Airport. Now, this is one of my least favourite places, mostly because of the architecture. Actually, I love travelling. I don't mind airports at all in general because of, you know, what they mean. But I have to say, I'm very glad that I am here only temporarily. I've just dropped off my wife. She's going off to see her family over Christmas, and I'm heading for somewhere which I hope will be a lot more beautiful. And I have a long drive ahead of me, but hopefully tomorrow morning I'll wake up in a very nice spot. So let's get this old campervan going and see how nice the motorways are going to be to us as we head northward. So, I am just negotiating some junctions here which will take me onto the motorways to take me towards, hopefully tonight, the Lake District, one of my favourite places on earth. And we will see whether the 5 or 6 hours of driving that are ahead of us go well, but hopefully it'll be worth it because tomorrow we'll wake up in a place about as different from Heathrow Airport as you can possibly imagine. So, I'm looking forward to it. So here's a little background as we drive along on the M40 motorway here. I do these trips on my own, often hanging onto a spaniel with one hand, and I very much envy the people who have you know, a very technically competent spouse or partner sitting next to them who can drive while they shoot the beautiful drone footage and so on. I've got none of that, so this is very much what I can get away with while still driving safely, but hopefully it's enough to do what I want to do, which is essentially record this for my own record, you know, for my own memories. But, you know, maybe I'll do something that will be interesting to other people as well. This is going to be a fun trip for me because we're going first to the Lake District, may just stay there 1 or 2 nights, and then we're going on to Scotland, which I know less well. I've been there a few times, but I've certainly never been there at this time of the year. And I have this image that we may be shooting footage of the dog and I walking on beautiful deserted Scottish beaches with crisp, crunchy frost underfoot, and the sun shining down on us. But it may be that we're actually sitting there huddled against the sleet that's driving in across the North Atlantic, and we won't know until we get there. So the only thing I know so far is where we're going to stay tonight, and everything ahead of that. I've got some ideas about where I like to go, but I'm going to be making this up as I go along, partly perhaps determined by the weather forecast. So we'll see where we end up. Should be fun. Well, here we are on the shores of Lake Coniston. It's about a quarter of an hour, maybe half an hour before dawn, and we're up early, partly because it's beautiful at this time of day, partly because the rain is forecast to come later. We want to get an early start. And I might see if I can get some interesting photos here as well. So today we're probably just going to pop around the Lake District, go to some of our favourite spots, and then perhaps head for the Scottish borders tonight. The weather is looking as if it's going to be better in eastern Scotland than western Scotland for a while, so I think that's probably the direction we'll head. Perhaps to Bonnie Dundee. We shall see. Well, this is just beautiful. There's a little bit more light now. Been taking a couple of photos. Tilly has had a bit of a walk, and it's just lovely. And the great thing about this time of year, even though you do have to deal with the weather, is that there's nobody here. I mean, it's still early in the morning, but in the summer you'd see lots of people around, probably even at this time of day. Right, we got 1 or 2 nice shops down by the lake, and we're now heading back up to the van. But I think we know a very good place for brunch, so I think we probably won't stay here for breakfast. Good smells down there, Tilly? Well, this is a favourite spot. This is Chester's by the river. There's a very nice cafe over there, which we're just about to head into, but it is worth looking down at the river here. This is normally more of a trickling stream in the summer. Well, not trickling, it's a pretty substantial river, but this is quite a flood compared to what I've seen here before. Anyway, this place has really good food. Let's go in and see what they can offer us. So this is normally ridiculously crowded in the summer, but still well worth coming to. There's a terrace outside there with the river running underneath. They're dog friendly. It's a vegetarian place. I think it's entirely vegetarian, but they do good coffee, they do really good vegetarian food, and there's lots of choice. And it's lovely to come here out at season and find no queue. It's busy, but I was able to park. There's no queue, and the food smells just as good. Well, we've just parked at White Moss car park down there. Grasmere Lake is that way, Rydal Water is that way, and this is the river that flows between them. And I've often thought that I'd like to canoe down this, but usually you can't be sure there's going to be enough water. Wouldn't be a problem today. We've had so much rain over the last few days that everything is very full. Decided to come up a little bit higher. Over there you can see Rydal Water, and over this way is Grasmere. Now we were planning to go around that way, but it looks as if rain is kind of coming from all directions, so we're changing our route to get a slightly shorter circuit. We're going to go out this way a little bit towards Grasmere, get a view of it, and then come back down here and head back down to the car park, I think. Well, we are up here on Lochore Terrace. This is Grasmere down beneath us, and as you can see, there's a mist coming through. It's actually rather beautiful, if somewhat indistinct. Last time I was up here it was in lovely sunshine. This is beautiful in a very different way. So we'll see whether we can get a decent shot of this, and then I think the light will have left us behind and we need to move on. Stop we always make when we come through Grasmere. This is Sarah Nelson's gingerbread shop, and it's famous for its gingerbread, but they have some other nice things as well. Let's go inside and have a look. This is a oh, actually this is video, is that alright?
Oh yes, okay.
Right, you're right. Yes, you are in it, because it's a 360 camera,
yay.
so you're filming all around here. So we're in Sarah Nelson's shop here with...
I'm Penelope, hello.
Hello Penelope, and it is lovely to come in here at this time of year when there's almost nobody around. Well, I'd like 2 of the small packs, please, and I'll take 1 marshmarshmallow. Shall I take it from up there?
Yeah, we'll start from this.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. This was a novelty at first, but I kind of almost like it more now.
I know, yeah, every time I speak to people about these, and they come back and they're like, oh my god,
they're really good.
So nice.
Well, sadly, it's now time to leave the Lake District behind, and we're going to head northwards just to the Scottish borders. We're going to Moffat tonight, to the Camping and Caravan Club site there, which I think will be another comfortable place before we head out into the wilds a little bit more. Heading close to Keswick, and then we go out, I think, to the motorway probably. We go through Gretna Green, and then we get to Moffat. Now Moffat, because of its location, I think is quite a popular sort of campervan stop-off point for people heading for Scotland. Certainly if you are heading for the west coast, this would be a very obvious way to come. Last time I looked at the weather forecast, I think the east coast may be a better bet, but we'll have another look tomorrow morning and decide where we're going to go next. Now back onto the A591, which is one of the great, one of the main north-south roads through the Lake District. Up here, if I wipe the windscreen, that's Helm Crag that we're passing, and That is a lovely climb. I've been up there several times, but never in weather like this. I think weather like this, being in a warm, comfy camper van with a cup of hot ginger wine from Sarah Nelson's, is probably a very good place to be. Well, we're just a few miles outside Moffat, and we're in this fabulous scenery, at least somewhat devastated scenery, because this is forestry area and it's clearly well forested, but there are plenty more trees behind. But we have this fabulous valley ahead of us. We're going to try and see Grey Mare's Tail, which is a waterfall that I think is behind here somewhere. I'm not sure if we'll have time to walk to it or not, because I'm meeting a friend in Edinburgh a bit later. But this is just lovely scenery, and at the moment it's not raining. This is the Grey Mare's Tail. There's a waterfall somewhere up there, and I don't think it's too far away. We don't have a lot of time, but it's definitely beautiful countryside. You would never believe that this was so close to the motorways that we came off yesterday. So this is going to be fun. Let's go this way. Come on. And out there, a little bit of a climb at this time of the morning, but a nice path to do it on. Look at this. This is Grey Mare's Tail, one of the highest waterfalls in the UK. I think I saw 5th highest. That's pretty. Can't see all of it from here. Sadly, there's a sign saying that the path doesn't go any further at the moment on this side, but still well worth coming here to see the view. The path over that side of the valley was closed partway along. There's been a collapse apparently. I think I could get an interesting view if I went higher on this side, but I fear I probably haven't got the time. But it's still a lovely spot to visit. Maybe come back here in slightly better weather. I can see one other person here, that's all. And it's a lovely valley to be travelling up. Tilly's having fun as well. There are no sheep around. I've checked pretty carefully, so she's enjoying herself running off the lead for the first time in a while. Right, back over the bridge, I think. Well, we're just about to set off. I met 2 people down in the car park. One, a family group who just going up the hill. I'm not sure if you'd be able to see them there, but they said if you go up the right side, you can get right up to a loch at the top, and it's well worth doing. So if by any chance I come back this way, I think we might pay a second visit here and give that a try. Bit of a climb, but it looks very good. The other guy I met said he had come down feeling exhilarated, but poignant wasn't his word, but he had just come from the very top where he had sprinkled his mother's ashes, and I thought, what a great place for that. So he was feeling good about it. Okay, let's head for Edinburgh. One thing I don't have up here at the moment is any phone coverage. And this is a fairly major road. And no phone coverage means no Google Maps and no Google Maps directions. So I'll need to switch to something else. Or perhaps, one thing I found very useful on any kind of trip is I have my iPad and my phone on separate mobile networks. So if there's any mobile coverage here, then perhaps I can get the data through the other one. This is a lovely big loch up here. I don't know which one it is, but it's the first big expanse of water I've seen from it. Okay, it turns out this is St Mary's Loch on the right hand side here. So we're currently heading from the west coast of Britain to the east coast, and strangely, because of where we are, that involves almost going due north. We're going a little bit northeast, but the UK is actually tilted more than a lot of people realise, or at least certainly a lot of people who grew up here, because if we see maps of the UK, they are often actually tilted, so north is not straight up. And this is useful because it enables you to get more of the UK, Northern Ireland and so on in a nice rectangular map. But it means that many people don't realise that, for example, I was amazed when I heard this, Edinburgh is actually west of Bristol. Now, certainly most of us who live in the south, think of Bristol as being quite a long way west, and Edinburgh as being up the east coast, but in fact the country is tilted enough that Edinburgh is actually west of Bristol. And if you go to somewhere on the west coast, like Mallaig or Arisaig, those sort of places, certainly on Skye, you're actually west of Land's End, which is the westmost point of Cornwall. So yes, we're heading north, but we're also effectively heading east. I think for the next few days, the east coast will be the place to be, but we might decide to go across and back down the west coast, which is probably a bit warmer because of the North Atlantic drift. So Edinburgh I haven't been to for a while. Meeting a friend, Phil, there, who moved up there from Cambridge some years ago, and it'll be interesting to see how he's found the transition. Lovely house down there. You know, often I think a problem with using sat-nav systems is that you don't really know where you're going. It's very easy just to follow the instructions, and I don't really know where I'm going. But on the other hand, the good thing about sat-nav systems is that sometimes they take you ways you might not have taken yourself, and this doesn't quite feel like the main road to Edinburgh. I think what happens is that the road I was on sort of goes north, and then there's a turn west, and it's a sort of right angle, and I think Google is taking me this way to cut off the corners. So it's interesting. It's a nice bit of road, lovely bit of road, nobody else here, and I would never have come this way probably if I'd been looking at an old style paper map. Well, we've just passed through Kirkhouse, a little village with a very pretty church in it, which I completely failed to capture on the camera. We just spotted a lovely heron flying across the road, which I may also have failed to capture on camera. But the other thing, that in this little village just opposite the church there was a stone barn which was being used as a garage, and in the stone barn there was a Tesla plugged in and charging. So I do get a feel of clash of cultures here, but it was great to see. Just filled up with diesel in Peebles. I didn't get to see anything of the town. I think it's an old spa town, but button. Sadly, we just kind of skirted the outskirts. However, we're heading for Edinburgh, and ahead of us, there's blue sky. This is amazing. I don't know if we'll actually end up in sunshine, but this is the first time I've seen blue sky since we left home a few days ago. So that's also an encouraging sign. Well, we're coming into Edinburgh now, and as you can see, we are in sunshine. This is very good. This is Arthur's Seat ahead of us, I think. And I'm just going to see if we can find somewhere to buy some dog food. Well, up here you can probably just see Edinburgh Castle. Sadly, we're not going to go close to that today, really, but because we need to carry on through and see if we can find somewhere to stay the night. So I'd hoped to stay in this small campsite, but they are all booked up, sadly. So I keep saying sadly in this video. I'm having a fun time despite the number of times I say sadly. So we are going to have to see if I can find either another site to stay at, or maybe do a wee bit of wild camping tonight. It is a jolly good castle. Well, we're about to cross the Forth Road Bridge. The old Forth Railway Bridge, I think, is on the right coming up. Long time since I've been across here. Some people would say it was a shame that I went into Edinburgh and only stayed for lunch and then came straight out without seeing any of it, and that is of course true. The thing is that I have been to Edinburgh before on more than one occasion, so I'm hoping to see a few more places that I haven't been before on this trip. Now, I don't know if you can see from here, but yes, you can see there are now 3 bridges over the Forth. I think it's the old railway bridge, maybe a new railway bridge, and this is the road bridge, and it's a big history. So at the moment I'm in an interesting situation of not knowing where I'm going to stay tonight, and it will be dark in about 20 minutes, so this could be kind of fun. Now, there is a place I've seen in Bristocks which is a country park that does in theory allow people to stay overnight, but I called them and didn't get a response, so I'm going to head for there and see if we can manage to park there, and if not, then hopefully we'll manage to find a wild camping spot somewhere nearby. Well, I'm arriving late at night at this country park, but the visitor centre wasn't, well, it was closed, but the cleaner was still there, and she said, oh yes, you can park here, just come in and see the receptionist in the morning. So we have a lovely view over the lake here, and it's all very peaceful, and I think I shall find a nice spot around the back somewhere, and this will be a very nice spot for the night.